David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney+. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney+ every night.
Tonight, the breaking news, at least 8 skiers buried alive. Authorities calling it the deadliest skiing avalanche in U.S. history. 8 skiers killed, 1 still missing at this hour, presumed dead. 5 skiers and a guide rescued, forced to leave the bodies on the mountain. One of the rescuers is married to one of the victims buried in the snow. Also breaking tonight, the images coming in, the fire emergency, large fires burning across multiple states. Dramatic video showing home after home in flames. Thousands forced to evacuate, and in the Northeast tonight, bracing for another potential snowstorm that could hit. Lee Goldberg tracking 3 storms slamming this country. Tonight, there are also breaking developments in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. The FBI now exploring whether she might have been taken across the border into Mexico, what we've learned. Also tonight, what Walmart is now doing after that video of that man at Nancy Guthrie's front door. The alarming moments tonight on board a Delta flight in midair, the passenger who began attacking other passengers on the flight. Tonight, Meta accused of making Instagram addictive to children and teens, the landmark trial. CEO Mark Zuckerberg, whose company owns Facebook and Instagram, on the stand today. In New York City, the social media stunt gone wrong. A teenager falling about 50 feet up the Queensboro Bridge, dangling as they rescued him. The massive sinkholes in the Northeast, one swallowing a dump truck carrying asphalt to fill sinkholes, and there are evacuations underway. Tonight, for the first time, a shark recorded in waters where sharks have never been seen before. And Team USA making history tonight. Mikaela Shiffrin's emotional victory, her first gold after losing her father. And look at this, the dog suddenly on the course and sprinting across the finish line.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. We have breaking developments in the Nancy Guthrie case. Also, 3 storms hitting the U.S., the fires across multiple states at this hour. But we begin with this deadly avalanche. At least 8 skiers buried alive in the snow, a 9th still missing and also presumed dead tonight. Authorities calling it the deadliest skiing avalanche in U.S. history. The skiers caught in a massive avalanche while on Castle Peak in the Sierra Nevada mountains near Donner Pass and Lake Tahoe. Rescuers facing treacherous conditions trying to reach the scene. 8 dead, a 9th believed to be dead as well. They had to leave the bodies on the mountain as they rescued 5 skiers and a guide. And adding to the horror tonight, one of the rescuers was married to one of the skiers killed and left on that mountain. ABC's Trevor Ault leads us off near the avalanche site in California tonight.
Tonight, the devastating ending to a daring search effort in Northern California. Officials say a massive avalanche the size of a football field buried a group of backcountry skiers. 8 people have now been found deceased, and a 9th person still missing is presumed dead.
They were attempting to go out as a group. That someone saw the avalanche, yelled avalanche, and then it overtook them rather quickly.
The group of 11 skiers and 4 guides were returning from a 3-day guided trip in the backcountry near Castle Peak, not far from Lake Tahoe. That avalanche hitting just before noon. 1 guide and 5 skiers surviving, rescued overnight after contacting help with an SOS call. This is what the conditions looked like at the time nearby.
Extreme weather conditions, I would say, is an understatement. Lots of snow, gale force winds, making it impossible to see.
With choppers grounded by the weather, it took rescue teams 6 hours on snowcats and skis to finally reach them. 2 of them with injuries had to be carried back. The survivors had found 3 deceased members of their group. Search teams then found 5 more, all of them close together. Because of the extreme conditions and the rush to save the survivors, rescuers were forced to leave the bodies of those 8 killed there on the mountain. One of them is the spouse of one of the rescuers.
As you can understand, this has not only been challenging for our community, it's been a challenging rescue, but it's also been challenging emotionally for our team and our organization.
The group's tour guide company Blackbird Mountain Guides has said they were working with investigators in the search and recovery effort.
We're up here at 9,400 feet.
Earlier this week, they posted this video on Instagram, warning of a big storm coming 2 days before what's now believed to be the deadliest avalanche in more than 30 years.
There were significant warnings about this storm
forecasts of it, highway shut down, other ski resorts were closed. Would these guides have known they were potentially leading this group into a deadly situation?
Those are all questions that we're asking, and appreciate the patience while we get through this and investigate the totality. Not just so that we know, but so these families know.
And David, with those 8 bodies still on the mountain, likely a 9th still missing, this remains an incredibly dangerous situation. The location where the avalanche occurred is now reloaded with snow. They say they could have another avalanche in the exact same spot that could threaten the recovery teams and even potentially rebury the bodies. David.
Trevor Roll leading us off tonight. The pictures say everything there, Trevor. Thank you. We are also following the fire emergency playing out across multiple states at this hour, all part of these storms. Dramatic images coming in showing home after home in flames. In fact, thousands have been forced to evacuate. These images right here are from Tyrone, Oklahoma. That's northwest of Oklahoma City. And the Northeast bracing for what could be another major snowstorm. Lee Goldberg has the forecast and the images of this fire emergency tonight.
Tonight, dramatic drone video showing the fire emergency tearing through the Heartland. Thousands forced to flee their homes. A state of emergency declared in Oklahoma. Fierce flames from the side road fire in the Panhandle, burning multiple homes to the ground in Tyrone. A woman named Becky racing to save animals nearby.
She don't understand what's going on. But luckily enough, we saved all the horses.
The Ranger Road fire exploding to more than 225 square miles, crossing state lines into Kansas. Several firefighters injured battling fires in the region, including 3 when their fire truck overturned. In the town of Woodward, Oklahoma, 4,000 residents told to pack up and go as the 43 fire approached.
Woodward, run!
Darrell Stewart using a garden hose trying to protect his home. That critical fire danger extending across the state.
What is making it worse is that very low humidity, and that causes the spark to go to a flame faster.
And tonight, crews also battling wind-driven fires in parts of the Texas Panhandle.
What a mess tonight. Let's get right to Lee with the forecast. Storms across this country tonight, Lee.
It's amazing. Warnings, advisories from coast to now to coast. So we're looking at the high wind and the fire danger that's going on from New Mexico all the way to Iowa. To the north, you have blizzard conditions in the northern tier, winter weather advisory into the northeast, maybe even a light snow into Boston tonight. In the west, 5 feet of snow in the Sierra and counting. Avalanche danger remains high all the way to the Rockies. Now, some of that Pacific energy is headed for the plains and Midwest, so we're concerned for severe storms for Illinois to Iowa tomorrow, damaging winds, maybe even a brief tornado. Then late Thursday into Friday, the storm reaches the northeast, rain from D.C. to New York, some snow into New England, and then all eyes on that developing coastal storm. It's the 3rd storm in the week. Our model's suggesting a close call, David, with snow along the coast, hopefully the brunt offshore. David?
The track will determine everything. Lee Goldberg, our thanks to you again tonight. There are also breaking developments in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie tonight. The FBI is now exploring whether she might have been taken across the border into Mexico. Also tonight, what Walmart is now doing after that video of that man at Nancy Guthrie's front door. And tonight, as they continue to analyze DNA found at Nancy Guthrie's home, DNA that was not hers or anyone in her family, we look at the new technology that has been used in some recent national cases to look at forensic genetic genealogy. And could it be employed here? Aaron Kotursky in Tucson for us again tonight.
Tonight, the FBI is now exploring the possibility Nancy Guthrie was taken across the border into Mexico, just 60 miles from her home. While there are no firm leads pointing south, law enforcement sources tell ABC News the FBI has reached out to Mexican authorities to put her disappearance on their radar. It comes as investigators are analyzing partial DNA found inside Nancy Guthrie's house that does not match the 84-year-old grandmother or anyone close to her. They're comparing it to criminal databases and looking at forensic genetic genealogy. The technology connected to genetic genealogy, the family tree, is changing rapidly when it comes to what private labs can do to help authorities track down potential suspects. One of those cutting-edge labs, Othram in Houston, Texas. David Middleman's the CEO.
In this case, an abduction, someone that we're trying to return back to family. It's really important to do this super fast. You just can't afford to wait, weeks. Every day matters.
Middleman and his wife, Kristen, have built a high-tech forensic genealogy lab, and their work has been used in high-profile cases across the country. Middleman will not say if any of the authorities have reached out to Othram in the Guthrie case. He says state and local authorities have for years counted on CODIS, the FBI's database, where criminals have had their 20 DNA markers inputted. What's eye-opening is that Othram's technology allows them to go well beyond those 20 markers in a DNA test that's been used for many years.
DNA was how old?
David reported on the new technology, visiting their lab just last year.
For the last 30 years, people have used a different kind of DNA testing technology that can measure 20 data points in the DNA. This machine actually can read out the entire sequence. So whereas you might get 20 data points in the earlier versions of this technology, this machine could give you anywhere from 100,000 to 1 million data points.
100,000 to 1 million?
100,000 to 1 million data points.
Far more than what traditional testing shows. They then turn to publicly available genealogy databases and using their own technology and AI advances to rapidly see if there are relatives out there who uploaded their DNA and if that information can then help crack a case.
When you have a lot of markers, then what you're able to do is to make these precise measurements. You're a second or third cousin. And if you know who those folks are, then you can use public records and family trees to essentially reverse engineer the identity of the source for that evidentiary DNA.
Othram has helped the FBI before. In the Idaho College murders, they helped investigators zero in on the suspect, Brian Kohberger. And since that case, they say artificial intelligence and technology have only made their work more efficient. And tonight, authorities are continuing to study that video from Nancy Guthrie's front door. The gun, the holster, the backpack, the clothes. Walmart is now searching receipts statewide. They're hopeful someone will see the video and remember someone who bought those items or someone who looks like this man. And tonight, for the first time, we are inside this 911 center in Tucson where operators are being inundated with tips 18 days into the search for Nancy Guthrie.
Sheriff's Department, can you please hold? Is this in regards to the Nancy Guthrie case?
This is the Sheriff's Department's communications section. Thousands of tips about Nancy Guthrie have come right here, and when the information is viable, these call takers don't wait. They can get it right to the investigators. If there's a tip about Nancy Guthrie, it's coming here.
It's coming here. We've resorted to modifying our questioning and trying to basically get down to the nitty-gritty to kind of help vet some of these calls that are coming into the center.
Get to the point.
Get to the point, yes.
And as the tips come in across this community, they're putting up yellow ribbons. They have still not given up hope Nancy Guthrie will come home.
I live like one neighborhood over.
Carrie told me there's a reason why this case has touched so many.
My mom is 83, and I just can't even imagine if I was in that position as her family, too. So, yeah, it's very sad.
That's just it, right? It seems to be striking a chord with everybody.
Yeah, I feel like it's like America's mom, right?
Again tonight, David, investigators here in Tucson are in touch with law enforcement officials in Mexico just in case. And today, investigators received an anonymous donation allowing the reward for information to double, now $200,000. The number, 1-800-CALL-FBI. David?
Well, Aaron, it's just good to see that in that 911 call center that the tips keep coming in. Let's just keep hoping here. Aaron Gutersky again tonight. Aaron, thank you. This evening, the alarming moments on board a Delta flight just after takeoff. The passenger accused of attacking other passengers in midair. Here's Gio Benitez.
You're watching a midair emergency minutes after takeoff. Passengers on this early morning Delta flight from Houston to Atlanta forced to jump into action as the airline says another passenger began attacking people in the cabin.
He stumbled to the back and just started punching everybody.
The crew reporting that passenger was trying to break into the cockpit.
We had a passenger get up and try to access the cockpit.
We gotta get cuffed.
But Delta tonight saying that the passenger did not make contact with or attempt to access the flight deck. Passenger seen screaming at flight attendants. The crew and some of those passengers try to subdue him, holding him down.
They had to sit on him, and we had to turn the plane around and go back.
The flight turning around, landing back at Houston's Hobby Airport just 15 minutes after takeoff. That passenger escorted off the plane in zip ties.
We see videos like this all the time, people going crazy on planes, but I just never thought that I would be witnessing this.
And David, the FAA is investigating. Meanwhile, as we came on the air tonight, Newark had a short ground stop in place because a JetBlue flight to Palm Beach immediately returned to the airport. The FAA says the crew reported smoke in the cockpit. Passengers evacuated on those slides. Thankfully, everyone is safe. There were no injuries, David.
All right, a temporary ground stop at Newark there. Gio, thanks so much. Tonight, the CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, on the stand today. Mark Zuckerberg testifying in a landmark case now. The company's accused of making Instagram addictive to children and teens. Here's Elizabeth Schulze tonight.
Tonight, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg grilled in front of a jury for the first time in a landmark trial over claims Instagram is designed to be addictive for kids and teens. The case centered on a 20-year-old who says she started using social media at age 10. Her lawsuit claiming the app's features got her hooked, eventually leading to depression, anxiety, and body image issues. Zuckerberg defending Instagram's current restrictions that ban users under 13, but saying, "I always wish we could have gotten there sooner," and testifying the company has acknowledged for a while that people get around the age restrictions. Zuckerberg also pressed about an internal email appearing to show goals to boost the time spent on apps by 12%. The Meta CEO testifying, "We changed that." Zuckerberg on the stand 2 years after a Capitol Hill hearing, where he apologized to families whose children have been harmed by social media.
Sorry for anything that you terrible. No one should have to go through the things that your families have suffered.
In a statement today, Meta saying they disagree with the allegations in the lawsuit, adding the evidence will show the plaintiff faced many significant, difficult challenges well before she ever used social media. Maureen Molak's son David took his own life at just 16 years old. She says social media contributed to David's depression and anxiety.
They know exactly what their platforms are doing. They are addicting kids, and that they haven't done anything about it to stop it.
David, YouTube is also on trial but denies the allegations. TikTok and Snapchat were named in the lawsuit but settled. This trial is seen as a bellwether for more than 1,000 cases against social media nationwide. David.
Elizabeth Schulze reporting tonight. Elizabeth, thanks. Overseas tonight, nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran continuing amid a military buildup in the Middle East. With the second U.S. carrier strike group closing in on the region, President Trump is looking to pressure Iran to make a deal or risk U.S. military action. The U.S. insisting Iran must not be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Meantime, tonight, talks between the U.S., Ukraine, and Russia ending in a stalemate in Geneva. President Zelensky frustrated with the talks, saying key issues, including occupied territories, remain unresolved tonight. Zelensky accusing Russia of dragging out the negotiations. When we come back here tonight in New York City, the social media stunt gone wrong, a teenager falling on the Queensboro Bridge dangling as they rescued him. The massive sinkholes in the Northeast, the evacuations tonight, one swallowing a dump truck that was actually carrying asphalt to fill other sinkholes. And tonight, for the first time, look at this, a shark recorded in waters where sharks have never been seen before, where the shark was spotted. In a moment here, don't go away. Tonight, authorities believe a social media stunt gone wrong in New York City. First responders using ropes to save a teenager who had fallen about 50 feet down a narrow shaft on the Queensboro Bridge in New York City. Authorities say that teenager is recovering in the hospital. Tonight, Phillipsburg, New Jersey, near the Pennsylvania border, declaring a state of emergency now. Several sinkholes, major sinkholes, opening up, one swallowing a dump truck, delivering asphalt to actually fill other sinkholes. Multiple homes evacuated, dozens without power tonight. When we come back this evening, for the first time, a shark recorded in waters where sharks have never been seen before, and you'll see the pictures right here. To the Index tonight, researchers studying the frigid waters of Antarctica with a discovery, a research camera right here on the seabed, capturing images of a large shark between 10 and 13 feet long. They say warming oceans may be driving sharks to waters that were once too cold. When we come back tonight, the big news just coming in from the Winter Games. We'll go right to Italy in a moment.
ABC World News Tonight with David Muir, sponsored by Afrin.
Just in an overtime thriller, the U.S. men's hockey team beating Sweden, going to the semifinals, and another emotional victory tonight. Janae Norman in Italy. Janae?
Yeah, David, tonight's celebrations for U.S. skier Mikaela Shiffrin, winning gold after 8 years. We watched her win gold for the first time more than a decade ago as a teen to become the youngest slalom gold medalist in history in 2014. She won more gold in 2018 and now taking home the top prize again, this time her first gold since losing her father back in 2020. And Team USA making history tonight in men's team sprint cross-country skiing. Ben Ogden and Gus Schumacher becoming the first Americans ever to medal in the event, earning silver. And Norwegian cross-country skier Johannes Klæbo breaking the all-time Winter Olympic gold medal record. He's now tied with Michael Phelps for the most Olympic gold medals ever with 10. He'll go for 11 this weekend. And David, one more thing happened on the same course. This local dog wandered on during a separate event, even crossing the finish line along with the Olympians. Dog and owner were reunited, David.
Yeah, no medal though. Thanks, Janae. I'll see you right here tomorrow. Good night.
David Muir, the most trusted anchor in America, the most watched anchor in America. Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir the #1 newscast in America.